Ernie Hall, here at Just the Cook, Off the Hook, Panama City, Florida, ERNIEHALL.
5 years ago, Ernie Hall had an idea, a food truck, but on the water. A place where locals and tourists come for great burgers and seafood, and a free beer from the cooler while supplies last. A place where anglers bring their fresh catch and have it prepared on the spot.
There's a lot of old fishermen, a lot of old fishing families. We'll do the hook and cook. People go out and come back in with an amazing catch, and they'll literally walk to the front of the boat, bring that 10 pounds of snapper in the bag, and turn it into some amazing meals or quick ones.
The former Marine opened Just the Cook. He'd found his new purpose. Then, in the summer of 2015, while in Tennessee for a friend's funeral, someone texted him a picture. It was his new purpose, sinking into St. Andrews Marina.
Just the Cook is kind of an evolving boat. Our original boat was a 5 pontoon Bennington. She took on water last year. So we started repairing her and then building on this boat, just kind of a race to see which one would get to the end first. Of course, this one won. Then it turned into this bigger thing, So now we're getting to bring a lot of people into St. Andrews and feed a lot of people in St. Andrews and just touch a bunch of lives through our food.
This is where Panama City swoops in. Local anglers, friends, and patrons join Ernie's GoFundMe campaign and raise the cash necessary to replace the pontoon. Today, Just the Cook is back in full swing, a long line of customers forming under the Marine Corps' scarlet and gold flag. You see, Just the Cook is more than a veteran's dream. It's a nexus point for the hook and cook culture Panama City is known for. Food and fishing bring people together like no other. Add them together, and you've got more than a floating restaurant. You've got a community. Our goal? Bring Ernie tonight's special. We hook, he cooks. Highway 98 cuts a diagonal path through the Sunshine State. It's the asphalt sash over Florida's shoulder. As you head northwest to the Panhandle, model-thin palm trees and sun-bleached high-rises give way to big oaks and brick homes. Panama City is nestled along the Gulf of Mexico, 68,000 acres of St. Andrews Bay spread out before it. When it comes to name brands in this particular swath of America, there's Tallahassee to the east and Pensacola to the west. Panama City is the Florida you don't know, and that's how the residents like it. There's no evidence here of the classic stereotypes that cling to the Sunshine State's beach towns. Spring break isn't broken. The t-shirts stay dry. What it has is an undiscovered fishery accessible by boat, or a cast from the dock. Just ask Stan Jones. The former Marine oversees both of the city's marinas, the historic St. Andrews Marina and the newly renovated 240-slip Panama City Marina. He has a front row seat to Panama City's fishery.
You don't have to be a millionaire to go catch a big game fish. You can do it in a John boat. They're that close in. You can get Spanish mackerel or redfish or flounder right from the seawall of the marina. You don't have to have a lot of money to go out. It's like a grocery store right out there.
Stan thinks our chances for a proper hook and cook with Ernie are almost guaranteed.
There's such a diversity of the type of fish you can catch, and you don't need to travel 70 miles offshore like you do on the East Coast. You can go 2 miles offshore and you're in snapper waters.
Red snapper it is. Let's put it on the menu. The man guiding us from tackle to table, Matt Paramore. He's fished these waters for 13 years and established his own charter outfit, Paramore Offshore, 4 years ago.
We have a diverse fishery here. Red fishing, trout, inshore, lots of species offshore, snapper, grouper, king mackerel, wahoo. If you go out further, you have blue marlin, big bull dolphin. It's very diverse here off of Panama City. I love fishing because it's the hunt and the chase of not knowing what you're going to get that day. How can I adapt? What can I do different? What can make me better? How can I learn from my mistakes? You never know what's on the end of that line. It could be a lifetime catch on the end of that line. Anytime, any moment. As long as you have a line in the water, you never know what's going to hit that line.
It's hard to find a guide who gets as pumped about the bite as Matt.
That was awesome.
That proves especially true with a couple big hookups that get away.
Here he comes. Can you see him?
First, wahoo. This guy's a slob. We get him to the boat, and not an inch closer. Then a rogue shark, hot on the chum trail.
Man, I'm tickled to death to see that. That was awesome.
That's just an appetizer. More like someone else's entree passing the table. The search for the main course continues. Panama City has a vibe all its own. Call it antebellum beach bum. And everywhere you look, life connects to the water. Stop into Howell Tackle, and Steve Howell can rig up whatever you want. Nothing stops him from helping a customer, not even a TV interview.
Hey, Jared, catch that line. Tell him I need 2 black motors, a couple of spools, and 6 arms. Anyway, man, I'm telling you, our fishing is fabulous. It has been probably the best it's ever been. Our snapper fishery this year has been off the chart. I do this whenever I go to find out how fishing's been. I'll call Gandy's or a fish house that's here in town, and I'll say, hey, how many fish you clean today? They've all been very busy.
Howell Tackle is another nexus point in Panama City's hook and cook culture.
We can take our catch, have it clean at Gandy's, and then go down and have it cooked at one of the restaurants. They call it a hook and cook.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So many people come here to eat fresh fish. You'd be shocked at the people that call me to come by here and say, hey, what's the name of that restaurant? You know, and I name all the restaurants and say, yeah, well, we're going to try another one, and they try them all. It's like I told somebody that he says that it's the eating destination as far as our part of Florida, and I'm a professional eater.
Now that we have all the necessary gear and tackle, let's go through our checklist. The soft-sided Yeti 30 holds 30 pounds of ice and then some, so there's plenty of room for the day's catch. The rod and reel combo of Penn Carnage and Slammer 3 is engineered to handle salt without impact to the smooth drag system. Costa sunglasses are made of a nearly indestructible bio-based resin, so they will stand up to bitter cold and intense heat. Yellowfin 24 Bay Boat. Inshore and offshore, bay boats are a good choice for Panama City's diverse waters. On board, Simrad's marine electronics provide a mix of charting, radar, and weather through simple touchscreen navigation. For power, a Mercury Verado 300 is a supercharged 4-stroke with plenty of torque for when you need it. King Sailfish mounts. Provide a picture, and KSM will create a beautiful mount that matches your catch down to the smallest detail.
It was a stud, man.
King mackerel, also known as the kingfish, is one exciting saltwater species. Fast as hell, teeth like barbed wire that can mangle bait, flies, and line. Conquering the king is a true test of skill, a solid undercard to offshore pelagics. The king's dark meat is good when prepared the right way, but we're still set on snapper.
It's hot as hell here in June.
Yeah. Now I got an idea.
Oh, yeah?
Something we can do, yeah.
I'm
To beat the
game.
heat.
I'm game.
Panama City has a floating restaurant, so naturally there's a floating ice cream parlor.
What's your most popular order? Oreo cookies? I'll take
Or the Spider-Man.
So many choices. Okay, I'll take the Spider-Man.
Selling ice cream? Selling ice cream? Huge ice cream seller.
Panama City is one of the Southeast's most untapped fisheries, and hidden along its shores is a hub for species protection that not only serves the Gulf, but the United States and beyond. For every catch, there are thousands like it. Thousands of grip and grins on Instagram. Thousands of fish mounts over the fireplace. But if you're going to take from the sea, it's important to understand how your trophy got there and how many are left behind. Tucked into a waterfront nook on Delwood Beach Road is the NOAA Southeast Fisheries Science Center. Both protected species and PhDs can be found here.
Over here is a bluefin tuna slide. It's a female. That is a phytologenic oocyte. It's an egg. And we pretty much just go ahead and scan this entire slide and look for indications of maturity.
One of the center's most important conservation initiatives is age and growth research, where a small ear bone can reveal the life history of a fish and where future generations are headed.
The main goal is to randomly sample the catch.
Okay.
We get thousands. Some years we age 15 to 20,000 fish. It's very labor intensive. And the way otoliths grow is there's a winter band and then a summer band. This is be the winter growth section, this more opaque band, followed by the summer growth, which is this translucent zone here. And you can see this pretty much follows the body growth of fish in that the first few years, fish are growing rapidly, and then by age 5 or 6, growth is starting to slow down.
Gotcha.
We're finding that good growth years are La Nina years, which typically spring starts early. So the fish starts feeding early and has a longer growth season.
Otolith research not only allows scientists to estimate growth rates and stock assessments, but helps ensure a future for guides like Matt.
Making sure the resources available for them to utilize is a pretty positive thing.
Yeah.
It allows them some opportunities to get out there. I mean, guys like him, as well as charterboat captains, they're starting to get some relaxed capabilities as far as what they can take. And we like to see guys out there, we like to see fish available for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the things that people forget is that our job is the conservation of the species, make sure it's not being overfished and overfishing is not occurring. At the same time, it's a renewable resource and it's a public resource, and that we're making it available to different sectors of people out
there. Fred Myers has certainly benefited from NOAA's work. The insurance agent has turned his love of red fishing into a part-time job. When he's not helping hotels and other businesses get coverage, he's a professional redfish tournament angler with 9 Inshore Fishing Association wins and 3 championships.
I used to race sailboats all over the Gulf Coast, and I did that, and then I started tournament red fishing, and before you knew it, I'd won, and it got to be a source of income. It's just been fun, and now I got an 8-year-old that's going to start tournament fishing with me now, and I love competition. We're in the pass of Panama City, and what happens here is we got a bunch of flush of outgoing tide. You get a lot of bait stacked up. And what we have is some underwater rocks, some jetties that are underneath the boat, and these redfish basically live on them. What happens on the last half of the outgoing tide is you get the tide stopping out in the Gulf, and it backs up the bait right in here, and there's a magical hour, basically. This is the only way fish can get in and out. What you have to do is sit here and wait, and the stronger the tide, the longer the bite is. Today we have a medium tide, so it ought to happen. What we're catching is large 35 to 40 inch redfish. The idea is we're just keeping the slack out of the line, and it's just like a crab drifting out on the current, and you'll have these big reds come up and hit it.
How about that? A Jack Crevalle. Not what we were expecting from the Red King, but a fun fight nonetheless. Now this is more like it.
Whoa, big old redfish. He's a little bit over his fly. This fish is probably 30 inches, 32 inches. These aren't the real big boys we're looking for, but these are the fish that live here. The spot on its tail, bait fish don't know if that's his head or not, and so fish is coming around each end. You can tell a redfish has a definite advantage.
How many have you caught of these?
Thousands, thousands and thousands and thousands. This is my main species.
Gulf red snapper may be tasty, but it's served with a side of controversy. Snapper regulations has been the talk of the docks for some time. That's not lost on us as we head offshore to see it firsthand. The fish are everywhere in Panama City, hiding in the seagrass beds, populating the blue water offshore, cruising the dock pilings. With a population of 37,000, Panama City isn't crowded, but below the surface, it's Rio in the summertime. To target snapper, we opt for blue water, a mere 10 miles offshore. The conditions are solid. Temperatures in the low 90s, and other than an afternoon thunderstorm, there are no systems to contend with.
See, another thing too, when you get out away from land out there, there's no wind, there's no sea breeze, and it's flat. Right. You'll have a 2-foot sea, but it'll be just a swell.
These days, a conversation about Gulf red snapper is akin to a political debate in election season. Size limit, bag limit, and season lengths expand and contract, the government moving the goalpost for recreational anglers. Argue the methods, but the facts are red snapper have been overfished since the Grover Cleveland administration. And now they're rebounding in a big way, maybe too big. The snapper school over the wrecks, it's quite a sight. There are hundreds of reefs and wrecks in Bay County, ranging in depth from 200 to 300 feet. Bottom structure is a snapper magnet. In deep water, use a heavy rod and 50 or 80 pound test. Enough with the tips and tactics. Let's wet a line. After all, no hook, no cook.
You got your hands on my sister. I got my hands on your back.
You got there, Matt. Got a red snapper. Here he comes. Oh, he come loose.
Nice, nice. Got him coming up.
That makes it so much better. Get him out of the rock.
It's like a second victory right there.
It's a good fish.
Good job, dude.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Fish, yeah.
Matt's played this game before.
Yeah, buddy.
We hand over the snapper to Ernie.
Wow, y'all did good.
And grab a cold beer while we wait. There's one rule with Ernie. Don't tell him how to prepare your catch. It's culinary improvisation, and he doesn't disappoint. Our fillets are transformed into snapper torta with cilantro slaw and blue agave, and Mexican snapper tacos with chipotle peppers and adobo sauce. The recipe's mix of exotic and down-home represents Panama City's place at a culinary crossroads. It's 500 miles from Memphis and 300 miles from New Orleans. The Latin touch trickles up from South Florida. The influences are a road trip away. Salt is essential to our survival. It's also one of the 5 basic human tastes. No wonder food and fishing make such an outstanding duo. We came looking for the locals to tell the story of Panama City. Turns out, we had it all wrong. They are the story. Each of them a chapter that feeds the next. Steve provides tackle and gear to Matt. Matt puts you on fish. Head over to Stan's Marina, and your fish is cooked by Ernie. As long as there are people like you and me, anglers and sportsmen who join that cycle, the story of Panama City will continue to be told.